Hey, mamas and friends. It's Sarah from Late Night Coffee Moms. Oh, so if you've never done a Facebook Live, what happens is you go onto your Facebook page and you're going to go make a post just like you would if you're going to tell somebody what coffee you drink. Hi, Eunice, some coffee drink you were having or whatever, and you're going to post your favorite song lyrics or whatever. So you go onto this post and you hit go live. And it takes a minute for Facebook to recognize your speakers, recognize your camera, get it all in focus, and then like the little blurb over here, Friday night hangout, yay. You fill that in, whatever. So you have, and then you have a while until you hit the go live button. So you get to play with your lighting a little bit, and hopefully I'm getting better at that. I've got a few lights around me. You get to play with your background. You can adjust your hoodie. You've got to make sure your coffee cup is not totally in view the whole time. Well, let's say I might as well drink some. And all that kind of stuff. So what normally happens for me is I hit go live, and then I see myself in the camera, which is completely different for some reason than seeing myself in a mirror, because I just look ridiculous. And so I'll try to fix my hair and I'll think, oh, I've got it great. And then I'll hit go live and it'll just start sticking out everywhere. Oh, so if you catch me laughing at the beginning of a live, right when I'm trying to say hi, it's usually because I've done more damage than good in the 3 seconds it takes for it to finally start shooting my live video. But again, part of this whole thing is about being real with you guys. This is how I look. If you caught my scattered video yesterday, you can tell that I might even be wearing like the same shirt. I don't remember. But I look the same in those videos. That's how I look. This is what I present to the world, even when I go outside. So this is me. You're getting the real me. Sometimes with makeup, but that's about it. So it's Friday night. Oh, how'd your week go? Did you make it? Oh, things are getting a lot easier here. A lot of little pieces we're picking up and putting back into place. A lot of tiredness. Oh, I'm so tired today, and I don't even understand why, but I think it's just all the weight and everything from life happening. So if you did catch my video yesterday, I'm not even sure you could understand what I was saying because I was being such a crazy person. So my son and I went out for a date, and toward the end of the date, he wanted to go to the bookstore. So I'm like, sure, we'll go to the bookstore. What better place to hold a book chat on Facebook Live than the bookstore? No problem. Barnes & Noble is open until 11 p.m. We'll get there about 10 minutes before 9, and at 9, I'll shoot my video. No problem. So we get there, and I'm shopping around with him, and the first thing he likes to look at are all the games. And I was gonna I'll show them our favorite games here on this shelf, and no. So by the time he figured out what he wanted, the announcers were going 10 minutes till we close. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm not even gonna make it back into the car in time to do a live for you guys. So I tried to find a quietish corner, and I found one. I set it all up, and I was gonna have it just, holding it with my, what are those called? Little poppets, knuckles, whatever those things are called, holding it out and trying to make sure that it wasn't too wonky. And then I believe she was the manager, started circling us because she wanted to go home. And I've worked retail. I understand. You don't want somebody standing in the middle of your store doing absolutely nothing and then decide right when the clock strikes 9 to finally put in their orders. And if you can get every customer out of the store by exactly the stroke of 9, you've got it made, okay? Because they've got hours of work to do after the last customer leaves. So I totally understand. I'm not mad at her. I get it. She's circling my son and as I'm trying to do this live. You might have seen it. So I started in the mystery section and she started circling us. So I had to move over to the sci-fi section. And then I was like, oh my goodness, there might be bad things on the covers because you never know what the book cover is going to look like. So we moved back over to the mystery section. That's why you see my son and I running from the mystery section back to the sci-fi section, back to the mystery section. And she's totally just staring at us. She'll walk right past us staring, seeing what we're doing. And I don't know if it cut out before, but at the very end, she's making the 5-minute announcement. So I think my whole video was like a minute and 30 seconds, but it's because we're being stalked that whole time. So I'm going to kind of go back over what I talked about then tonight with a couple other little things I was going to talk about tonight, but oh my goodness. So what did we learn from this experience? We learned it might not be the best idea to have a Facebook Live in the middle of Barnes & Noble, especially at closing time. Anyway, it was funny. And my son was running through the store with me and whatever. He made his purchase and we left, and she had to unlock the door for us to leave. And we were not the last ones. There were other people there. But it was funny, and I totally get it. People in retail, as in my experience, there's two kinds of people in retail. There's the people who work and the people who watch the other people work. And I could tell she was somebody who works, and she really, really wanted to go home. So that's what happened. Can you guys hear that? That's my daughter laughing at an old Disney movie. I think she's watching Hot Lead and Cold Feet, if anybody knows what that is. Anyway, so we're just going to go over what the 24-hour readathon is. And I do have at least one blog post about it. I think I have 2 blog posts about it. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's 24 hours where you do nothing but read. And I know for some of you guys, you're like, it's your worst nightmare. And then for some of us, it is like an oasis of imagination for the entire weekend. And we have things like the best coffees we can find, some like experimental coffees that we might not even like. We have tons of random snacks, like the kind of snacks you get at like Home Goods or Marshalls or TJ Maxx that you never see anywhere except for Christmas time, but somehow they're here. See, look, it's all sliding and it's driving me crazy. So yeah, much better. But and we pile up on all these snacks, and then I'll make something in like the crock pot or the Instapot that's somewhat nourishing, and that will be going all night and all that kind of stuff. So what we do is we're going to start, I think it's, my brain is so slow right now. I believe it's the 15th, Friday the 15th, I believe. We are going to turn off all the devices in our house minus lamps, of course, but I'm talking about, video games, all that kind of stuff. At approximately, I think we're actually starting at 9 this year. So at 9 p.m., everything's getting shut down, and we're grabbing our books and we're reading. And my son told you what he was reading. He's going to be reading Out of Silent Planet, which is the first in C.S. Lewis's space trilogy. I have never read these before, so I think as soon as he's done reading this one, I'll snag it from him and make it one of mine too. And then he's also going to read this Outlaws of Time Part 2 by Indy Wilson. Indy Wilson is really awesome. His books tend to be a little bit darker, but he's a Christian author, and he has some really good points in his books. And so that's what Bean is going to read. And then possibly, he started a Star Wars one last year, but it was a little bit overwhelming for him. It was one of the, what is that character's name? I love Star Wars, and I can't remember his name. Admiral, I want to see Zane, but that's not his name. Anyway, it's part of the Star Wars books, and it's book 7, 8, and 9. So when Star Wars The Force Awakens came out, I was surprised that it wasn't like the book of Star Wars #7, which is, I don't remember. He'll have to tell me. But so he's going to read these two. And then if he has time, he's going to dive back into that one. But we'll see. We'll see. I think it's wise of him to pick a short one and a longer one. But that's how we roll. I'll have a stack about this high of books I want to read, and I'll maybe get halfway through it. Last time we did this last year, I believe I read, I think it was like 1,100 pages in 24 hours. I don't know if that's a lot or if a little. I don't know. I know your brain gets tired. So you start with the hardest book first. So last year, the first book I read was a book for Cece. I was reading, hey, Jenny, I was reading, what was I reading? The Question. And it's a very dry kind of list book. And so I did that first right away because I knew my brain power would just totally fade out. And then I saved the book I was looking forward to the most because I have those, and I have one. I actually have two this time that I'm just so excited to be able to be reading on our 24-hour readathon. And they're by the same author. That's what's crazy. So I'll let you guys in more on that anyway, but I picked my favorite book to hit about the midnight or 2 a.m. hours because I'm going to need that extra push to keep reading. Now, the first time I did my readathon, we did not stay up all night. We tried. That was the goal. But health and sanity are more important than reaching that goal. So I think my children fell asleep around 4 a.m. Yeah, I'm that mom, around 4 a.m. And I think they slept till about 11. I know my husband fell asleep. I think he fell asleep around the same time, and he slept maybe an hour less than they did. And around 5:30 in the morning, I was just lonely from being the only one up reading, and I slept, but I slept for about an hour and a half. And it was on purpose. It wasn't in the middle of a book. So if you're going to do the 24-hour readathon, you want to pick your hardest book to read first, your most exciting book to read in the quiet hours of the morning where it's the hardest, or toward the end of push. So what we'll do is on the 15th at 9 p.m., we'll start our readathon, and it won't be over until Saturday at 9 p.m. And we'll declare it finished, and we'll talk about what we've read and all that kind of stuff. But if you've been following me for any time, I've told you repeatedly, we have issues in our home like dyslexia and dysgraphia and ADHD and ADD, or whatever you want to say. We have tons of acronyms in our house and mnemonic devices and that mean things to other people. So how do we do a 24-hour readathon with those kind of issues? Not just mom brain, which is enough to stagger you, and tired working dad brain, who he participates as well. So what is on my shoulder? So how do we do this? Audiobooks. So for one of our strugglers in our household, they will pick 2 to 3 audiobooks. Last year they listened to Heidi, which is a 13-hour long audiobook. And to keep up and to have a little bit of fun, they listened on headphones, so didn't distract anybody. And they colored, or they played with Play-Doh or kinetic sand, or they drew, or they did puzzles while they were listening to keep their brain going, keep them more active with everybody else. And when the headphones got too much, they would just come and like tag me or my husband and say, hey, can you read to me for a little bit? And we would put down whatever we're reading and go in another room and read aloud to that kiddo. Another thing we did, other than audiobooks, is we did graphic novels. Let me think, which one that were they doing that year? Oh, they were doing the Amulet series. It's very intense and very spooky, and they love it. And so that's something they could do on their own. They're not reading the words, but they're following the picture. And then when they tag my husband or I, we stop and we'll read them the story. And it's almost like they've got a sneak preview of it. This year we have the graphic novels we have an illustrated Harry Potter, which I'm not sure. It's not really a graphic novel. It's just illustrated. We have that. And then we have illustrated Wrinkle in Time. And then we have another book called Roller Skate Girl. Roller Skate Girl. It's about a 13-year-old girl whose best friend wants to be a ballerina, but she wants to be a roller derby queen. And those are all graphic novels. So that's something they can do on their own and explore on their own without a whole bunch of interference from us. So while they're like looking at the illustrated version of Harry Potter, they might be listening to it. I believe they're listening to one called Old Fashioned Girl this time, and that is it's that person. Louisa May Alcott. So they're going to listen to that, and then we'll see what else we're going to supplement with. Like I said, my husband and I take turns reading to them. So we might read a book, like one of those little chapter books but about this thick. We'll sit and we'll read maybe half of it and then send them off, and then we'll read another half of it. And we count those to our reading pages too. So knowing that's going to happen does diminish our book lists, but it's a blessing and it's awesome. And it keeps the people in our household who have trouble with these kind of things excited about reading and exciting about doing it, and nobody's left out. And it's a family weekend. It's not us. It's not the adults reading and then the kids going off to do their own thing. We're all in this together, even though we're having separate adventures. Excuse me. Possibly, we've also considered having a family audiobook that we're all going to listen to at the same time. And what we were thinking about that is when it's mealtime and we're going to actually sit down and eat, we'll have a little discussion with each other, and then maybe we'll listen to an audiobook together. Or if we're getting lonely, because that does happen because you're in your own secluded world and nobody's really talking to you and you don't really realize time exists anymore. That would be me. And you look up and who are all these people in your living room, because you weren't just talking to them, you were talking to the people in the book. So sometimes we're going to have an audiobook playing and maybe do a puzzle together and maybe do whatever, right? So that's going to keep us a little bit more awake and a little bit more engaged with each other. Snacks really help. Make sure you have at least a couple of healthy ones, because you will start going batty, which we all love here. But that's how we do it. We do the read-a-thon that way. So next week, probably on Thursday, I'll give you my book list, because we'll start Friday night and we'll start right at 9. So you'll get my live first. And then if you're following the page or the group, I'll post updates. So if you want to join me on the group page, go ahead and write your book list down, your kids' book list down, and we'll do like an hourly check-in. So you'll get to see me go from looking like this to even more tired and exhausted. And I'll tell you what books we've read when we've stopped to take a break, all kinds of stuff. It's really fun. It sounds like a lot of work, and I guess it kind of is, but it's just a weekend, 24 hours where we shut off the rest of the world and we dive into reading and we meet new friends together and we have adventures on our own that we can share with each other. It's really fun. And my kids, all of them, even my strugglers, they all struggle in different ways. They all look forward to it. Even my tired, hardworking, wonderful husband is excited to come home and know it's read-a-thon. And he might take a nap before we start, but that's what's going to happen. I really hope you guys join me. You can go to Late Night Coffee Moms. I know I had a post about last year's read-a-thon, and that had a link to a YouTuber who had one and showed you how she rolled with it. And then I have a new post about the read-a-thon this year's, and it has a little bit of our book list on it, I think, a little tiny bit. But anyway, I'd love for you guys to join me. I'm sorry about my crazy video yesterday. Be careful at Barnes & Noble when you're doing a live. All right. Well, that's it, guys. Have a great weekend. Keep going if you're doing the 90-day Bible reading, New Testament, read a thing. See, I'm tired. I'm going to go now. I love you guys. I'll catch you later. Bye.